The Couture 303 podcast is now officially sponsored by Dapper Turkish Barbers in Hunts Cross. You can find them on Wood End Avenue and they do the full service there. The hair, the beard, the ears, the nose, the cutthroat, hot towels, the lot. It's the only barbers I ever go to. Fantastic service, great lads. No need to book, just pop in and see them 7 days a week. If you want a nice sick fade like mine, you will not be disappointed. The absolute best in the area. That's Dapper Turkish Barbers, Wood End Avenue, Hunts Cross. And now back to the show.
The Couture 303 podcast with Jay Viper.
Welcome to the show, guys. It's been a New York minute since I've done a Couture 303 podcast, but we are back in the conversational kitchen. My guest today is a DJ. He's a record label owner. He's a producer, and he's got one of the most amazing, powerful moustaches in the whole of hard dance. Please welcome to the show, Dave Gray, a.k.a. General Bounce. Here he is.
Now what I do, mate.
How are you, mate? Listen, so as I always do with all my podcasts, I explain how the origins and where this come from. So This podcast should have happened a couple of months ago. Through work difficulties and kids and not having time to do it, I haven't done a podcast, but I made him a pinky promise. I said, my first podcast when I come back will be you. And here I am, true to my word. So, as I always do with all my guests, Dave, we go right back to the very, very start. So where and when were you born?
I was born in Dewsbury in January 1983. Dewsbury's in West Yorkshire. I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of it from being stuff like Shannon Matthews. that's what most people know about Dewsbury anyway.
So that's what you're famous for.
that's what our town's famous for anyway. And I don't know what else to tell you, really.
Okay, so what was your family unit like? Mum, dad, brothers, sisters?
Mum and dad, two brothers, one sister. My mum and dad split up when I was 11, and mum's been married to my stepdad since I was about 30 years now.
Okay,
and
so go on.
I went to Batley Grammar School. When I went to high school, my mum sent me there because at the time it was a really good school, and my mum didn't want me to turn out like my brothers and sisters.
So we're taking your brothers are older then, yeah?
Yeah, they're a lot older than me. He's like my youngest brother is 10 years older than me, right? So I'm the youngest by a long way.
Yeah.
My mum sent me to Batley Grammar School because she wanted me to be educated and not turn out like my brothers and sisters. And unfortunately for her, when I'd finished my A levels, I was just like, don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a DJ.
Yeah. So what was school like then? How was your? What's your memories of school?
You know, it's like, right, it was making us like, I came, where I lived in Dewsbury, it's like, I came from a council estate, right, and at the time, Batley Grammar was kind of a bit of a posh school, right, so it's like, mum paid a fortune for me to go there, so I was like the council estate kid going to private school, but it's like, but I actually really enjoyed it when I was there. It's like, it probably was better for me to go there than it was for me to go to the local high school, which actually, the local high school to me, Fornall High School, is famous for being on Educating Yorkshire. Which apparently is back on TV now. Apparently we're doing a new series.
I never knew you from Yorkshire. You haven't got like a strong Yorkshire accent, have you?
I've got a Dewsbury accent.
I'm showing me ignorance now because it all sounds the same to me.
no, Dewsbury accent is not quite a proper Yorkshire accent. We just all sound thick.
Yeah. Well, you went to Batley Grammar, so I don't think you are thick, Dave.
But it's just like whenever, like I say, when I've seen like Educated Yorkshire on TV, I'm just like, we all sound so dense. It's just one of them accents is like, hello. Yeah, I was really into dance music from when I was a proper young kid. I was like 5 years old when I got into dance music. Apparently, I was always like really into music anyway from when I was a baby. My mum always told me this story that she used to have to play Culture Club Karma Chameleon on repeat when I was like just short of a year old. If I started crying, it's like she'd have to put me in my rocker and play that song on repeat.
That just shows the age difference. I remember that being on Top of the Pops when it was new.
It's amazing. I do remember being really into like quite far back. Like I've got memories as far back when I was 3. I was really into stuff like Pet Shop Boys and things like that when I was 3 years. I was really into what we call like the sort of like high energy like gay music.
Yeah.
Right. So what people like call like gay club music back then. Like,
well,
so
that's the thing, you see.
Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, all stuff like that.
But the hard house scene was born in the gay scene, you know. And
it was.
us straight people have kind of just stolen it away, you know, and we kind of made it our own. But if you look at like the likes of trade and all that kind of stuff, that was the birth of hard house, wasn't it? And high
that was all the stuff I was into when I was like, I first got into it because I first heard it was one of Tony DeVitte's remixes that was in the charts. I think it was Burning Up, and that was like the first thing I heard like that. And he's like, I love this, and it's like I literally bought anything with Tony DeVitte's name on from when I was like 11 years old. But like going back to what we were just saying about like music in the 80s, all come from like the gay scene. It's like I do like, occasionally watch like Now 80s on TV and stuff like that. I've seen stuff like videos of like communards don't leave me this way. It's like we're all doing that sort of dance in the videos, like what we call like the hard house wiggle.
Certainly. You know, and it all stemmed, like I say, you know, it's mad how music evolves. I mean, even like you said about Tony DeVite.
Yeah.
So I can remember getting, I think it was either Are You Already or I Don't Care on vinyl when it was on Jump Wax before Tidy picked it up.
Yeah.
And back then, this is like 96, I'm going to say 97.
Yeah.
I classed that as techno because hard house as a term hadn't been invented.
It wasn't really a thing, was it? I remember it being called I think when I first started buying like Ministry magazine and music and stuff like that when I was like 14, it was like at the time they had like a hard house reviews page where it's called Hardbag.
Hardbag, yeah.
Because it was like, and I remember like hearing the name like basically came from like Handbag House and like Hard Dance.
Because like hard house back then was like the likes of Wham Do King of My Castle and maybe some kind of clubhead stuff that was classed as hard house. And then the actual hard house scene, like the likes of Tony DeVay, all the Tidy stuff, Walk Brothers, you know, proper that was like a real eye opener. Like fucking what is this?
Yeah,
this is really, it's not hardcore because it's 150, 155. Yeah, but it's fucking hard.
Yeah, it was just banging, weren't it?
Yeah,
it's like that. That's the sort of stuff I was into when I was like 11 years old. I was always really. It was just any sort of music, but mainly dance music. Like I said, when I was like 5, it's like I was listening to stuff like a guy called Gerald Voodoo Rave, stuff like that. Like, because my brother, who's like my youngest one, he was 10 years older than me. He started going to like illegal raves back then. And it's like I used to just nick his tapes when I was like 5, 6 years old. It's like the main tunes I always remember liking were stuff like D-Mob, we call it Acid, because that was obviously the cheesy one that was in the charts at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, without being a dance. And then he was like a guy called Gerald was the main one that sticks out of it. Then stuff like Joe Smooth, Promised Land, and things like that. All sort of record. I look back and think, why the hell was I into that when I was like 5, 6 years old? Yeah. But then it's like as I grew up, I just really liked dance music. And then when like 11, 12, that's when I got into what you call like proper club music, like around the time. And I started. I don't know what it was. I just felt like I wanted to be like a DJ, mainly because a lot of people were into the music I liked when I was a kid. Right, so it's like I just wanted to ram it down people's throats. That's literally what it was. I started going to the local youth club. It's like they had some decks there, so they had a couple of CD decks and these really shit like mobile DJ vinyl decks. Yeah. And so I just used to take my CDs and stuff down there and just like play all the tunes that I liked. Yeah. And then I got into like playing my mates' 18s when I was in sixth form. And that from there, I just decided it was something I really wanted to do. And as soon as I finished my A-levels, I got my first residency in Dewsbury Town Centre.
So rewind just a little bit. So when you were in school, was there any subjects that you excelled in or any you didn't really like for whatever reason?
Right, I was really good at music, obviously. Yeah. kind of goes without saying, think about it now. But for some reason, I was really good at French, even though I didn't like it. It was like that was my top subject.
Yeah.
It's like I got a name like GCSE French. I like do languages because I did German as well. I'm quite good at German in school as well. But French, it was just it's mainly because you have to do all the pronunciation and stuff, and you've got all the accents and everything. It's just to annoy me. But for some reason, I ended up being like the top subject.
So go back to your brother playing these tapes and going to these raves. Can you remember any? Because back then it wasn't really about the DJs, was it? It was just about the music. Yeah. But can you remember any of the DJs?
Rob Tissera.
Wow, Bobby T.
I always remember reading about Rob Tissera. Right, and to be honest, it's like he right, I've even told him like to his face, like personal, right, so many times. Even though he's now one of my friends, it's like I literally said to him, "You do know you're like the second coming of Jesus to me." So I used to listen to it when I was like 9 years old, and when I was growing, especially when I was in grammar school, he was on Kiss 105 in Leeds, and he did a radio show. I used to listen to it religiously every week, and it's like I can still remember like the loads of the tunes he used to hammer, and I've got unlisted loads of it. It's like, how the hell do you remember this? Because like some of them to this day, it's like they never even got released, and they don't even exist on Discogs because.
But you remember them?
Yeah, he got them on like acetates, and they never went beyond an acetate. And it's like a few in particular. And it's like, how do you remember that? It's like I don't even remember that existing.
He's dead diverse, Rob, as well, isn't he? Because I mean, he plays different genres, and what I like about Rob is whatever he's playing, he's still Rob Tessera. Like you've got like he hasn't got an alias for like when he's playing this or when he's playing that. Yeah. It's Rob Tessera, and you know what you're gonna get.
From the ashes of silence rises the power of rhythm. Beats that shake the earth. Energy that fuels the night. The ground trembles. The air ignites. Every heartbeat sinks to the sound. This is not just music. This is destiny. All rise for VAMP.
And not only that, it's like the thing I've always said about Rob is it's like even like without the aliasing, it's like you can still tell it's him. Wherever he plays, you can still tell it's him. It's like he's got a very distinct style for whatever he plays, and that's what I mean. It's like he was always like my inspiration growing up more than anything. It's like I was obsessed with whatever he played.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because obviously we're both kind of in the same situation now, where you're mixing with your heroes. You know, I've just been added to a lineup there for a gig in Manchester forever. I'm in the hardcore room, and I'm looking at the lineup, and I'm thinking, you were all on my wall.
Yeah.
Flyers and tape packs and posters and all that. And then little old me's in the middle. And the funny thing was, like many years back, I was just DJ Viper. And then I started using the name J Viper, probably about 15 years ago now. But for some reason, on hardcore events, they still put me down as DJ Viper. Now, it's benefited me this time because the lineup goes in alphabetical order. So it goes DJ Sai, DJ Viper, Dougal, and it's like, fucking hell. Like, I should not be in that mix.
Well, I have to say the thing, like, because it's like when all the DJs who are good friends to me now, it's like, I was reading about them on the way to school. I used to get Mixbag on the way to school. Like whenever it had a CD on the front that I thought I might like, it's like I'd buy a magazine. Like I usually spent my school dinner money on them and didn't have to have dinner that day. But I'd be reading about like Rob Tessera, Anna Savage, Leeds Lashes, even people like Brandon Block and Alex P and all that. I'd be reading about them on the way to school. It's like I know these people personally now. It's so strange.
It's crazy. Like I look up my WhatsApp. You go into WhatsApp and it shows you all the recent conversations. Yeah. And I look at the names and I think, fucking hell, if you'd have told me 10 years ago, I'd be having conversations with these people. You know.
Exactly. It's like one of my old school friends who was into like going clubbing. It's like I don't see him very often now, but he still follows what I do online. He's every time he sees like a flyer. I think Unity, the sun was amazing when I posted it. But it's like people like Alex P and all that, and he's like as if you're on that lineup with them. That's amazing.
It's madness, isn't it? Like I say, like I play Reminisce Festival. I think I played 4 times now, 3 years, but I played twice this year. And you look at the lineup on that, and you're looking at like household names, you know, like Technotronic and Chesney Hawks and stuff like that, and you think I shouldn't be there. I still get like imposter syndrome. You know,
I do that. I do that quite a lot.
It's so when I played Reminisce this year. So when I did a podcast with DJ Vibes. Now, DJ Vibes is like in the hardcore scene, like one of the greatest of all time. You know, and he's such a fucking lovely guy, by the way. Really genuinely nice fella. And he came here in this very little kitchen, the conversational kitchen as I call it now. he came here to do a podcast, and he's got like prescription sunglasses, and he forgot them. This is like 2 years ago. Yeah. And I kept in touch with him. And Reminisce this year, I took them with me because he was on directly after me. And I give them to him. And if you watch the video on YouTube, he's like that. Yeah, he's got my glasses back. And then we come home, me and my missus come back after Reminisce because it finishes at like 11 o'clock. Come back, we're having a drink in the kitchen. And my phone goes, and who is it? Fucking Vibes. I don't know, it's Sam, thanks for my glasses, mate. You know, all that. I've got the phone going.
I've had that a couple of times with Rob Tissera, a couple of like times when he's played at the same gigs as me. He's left his USBs, and or he's had like a USB on a lanyard that he's left. And what usually happens is like he's got no name in it or anything like that. So I'll go back to my mate's house afterwards or whatever when we do. He's like, "What do you know his USBs?" And because Rob's given me one of his USBs before, and he's got a really weird like file naming system. It's like it's all in caps. It'll have like 5 different versions. It'll have like 5 different masters of the same tune, but it'll like instead of like Master V5, it'll say best master ever with multiple exclamation marks. And then I put the USB next to straight away and just go, that's Rob's. And like, how do you know? I just know. And then he's like ended up having to come around my house at like silly o'clock at night when he's on his way home from somewhere to get his USB because he needed it for a gig the next day.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's so weird.
So let's go back to your start of your DJ. So obviously you're a music fan anyway. You've been introduced to music predominantly by your old brother's rave tapes. And then so did you start buying? Was it vinyl when you started DJing?
When I started DJing, it's kind of like that crossover period where people were still DJing on vinyl at clubs had to. You know the old dead on rack mount CD decks?
Yeah.
And it's like
with a tray.
Vinyl. Vinyl. But one thing I hated about vinyl is it's like you had to really concentrate on it, so you couldn't have a dance. it's like you wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be able to get into my own tunes that much because it's like I was too busy concentrating on what records playing next. So I used to buy vinyl, but I used to rip a lot of it to CD.
Yeah.
But it's like the horrible thing is like looking back now is like the sort of storage capacity we had. And the tools we had to rip stuff. It's like some of the tracks I bought, which I can't get hold of now. Is like I've got these really crusty vinyl rips.
I know.
But it's like I used to play on CD as much as I could, just because it's like it's like people keep going, oh well, you can't play vinyl. It's like I can, I just can't be bothered with it. And it's also big facts. It's like I used to carry a CD case that had like 240 CDs in it, or I could carry 40 records with one tune on each one. Yeah. Right, so it's like I used to play on CDs as much as I can, but I could play both if I needed to. Yeah. And also, it was like a lot of the clubs back then, especially the small clubs, they always had really crap decks.
Yeah,
they always had like a pair of Sound Labs that were knackered.
Pro 150s. See, the thing is with vinyl, I'm like yourself. I started on vinyl. My first decks.
Yeah.
I had Technics 1210s. My first ever deck, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I upgraded to Mark 5Gs after that. But just people have this affinity with vinyl. Like, listen, it's mixing 2 tunes together. It doesn't matter what the format is. If you can do it right, you can do it right. Vinyl's got so many fucking bad issues. The crackling, the popping, the needle skipping, the warping. Someone bangs into your table and your fucking mix goes out the fucking window.
Yeah, exactly. I think the one thing that used to really annoy me was it's just like, obviously, because you got all these pressings that are like really cheap quality, and it's like one of the big differences between like mixing 2 records could be just the weight of the record.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where it's like one record could be on a really good quality record, it's like, and you'll touch it and it will do next to nothing. And then you've got a really thin white label that it's like, you'll just touch it and just go, stop dead.
And of course, a big piece of vinyl, 12-inch vinyl, might have one track on. A CD that big, if you're playing in USB in MP3 format, that can have 100 tracks on. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. It's just like that's why he's one of the reasons he's per CDs, but mainly with that I could get into the tunes more because it is like slightly easier in the sense you haven't got all these little issues like what we just mentioned, like poor quality record, having to put 2p on the tone arm and stuff like that. Right, you haven't got all those little like minor inconveniences that add up to like making it harder than it needs to be.
Exactly.
Right, so and I just like I say, I like having a bit of a dancer and DJing. So
Same as me, and I've seen you perform before. I mean, all that, all that. All that. It's just what, like, from a business. I work in a factory. From a business point of view, that's non-value added time. All that queuing up and getting your pitch right and all that, and people have this thing about the sync button. I don't use the sync button, but what I do use is the fucking readout that says 155.7, and I'll just do the other one, and then obviously you make your fine adjustments in your headphones, whatever. But that's what the technology's for. That's non-value added time. All that flicking through vinyl and which one is it? It's fucking hell, all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't even mind the fact that people like say things like, "Oh, like to like cover the display and things like that." Because I think one of the annoying things is it's like when you're DJing with MP3s and stuff like that. Now it's like you've got the display, and it kind of like as much as you say you don't want to look at it, you do end up looking at it.
Of course you do.
Right, so it's like I do understand why people like want to cover it up, but it's like at the same time, like I say, the technology's there for a reason. Use it.
It's there to help you. So you're buying kind of a mix of vinyl and CDs. What kind of artists? I probably know the answers to this. Like, what kind of artists were you buying?
Sir, I like chuffing everything. Like especially when I started DJing, because that was the kind of a time when it's like you had to play everything anyway. Like I was into like hard house, bounce, like trance, house. Right, way back when I first started DJing out, a lot of what I was playing was like speed garage. Right, because that was like the big thing in Dewsbury at the time, because it was like Bradford and places like that next door. So there was a lot of places were into that, and it's like so I used to play a lot of speed garage stuff, and it's like I remember like buying like around 2001. It was basically just anything I liked. It didn't matter what the artist was, or there were specific artists I'd go for. Like I was into a lot of the Barry Corsten stuff. It's like obviously hard house. It was a lot of stuff that was around at the time. It's things like Stimulant DJs and the Nuclear stuff, Edison Factor and all that. And then all the Dutch stuff like Blue Records, Clubheads, all that kind of thing. I used to buy loads of that. And I used to be like really into all the BCD stuff that Mike Scarlett used to do. That was how I ended up playing Bounce for ages, because it's like when all that stuff came about. To me, it was like, I think the first one I heard was Residence Q Sunday. And it's like all that kind of stuff at the time. It was basically all the good bits of everything I liked, like old school house, like trance, hard house. It was all in one track. I was like, what the hell is this? So I ended up buying all that stuff.
Yeah. Funny story of Mike DeScala. So I've met Mike DeScala once years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was in Bowlers. We went there for a gig.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing. And my mate said, "Oh, Mike's coming, Mike DeScala." I said, "Okay, I know Mike DeScala." At the time, I think they'd done. I don't know if they'd done Ultra Beat or not, but I knew him from Resonance Q and obviously from his DJing days. And he said, "Oh, he knows you." I said, "He doesn't fucking know me," and he did know who it was.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know how he knew who it was.
Yeah.
So recently, I put a video on. I think it was Instagram, and he liked it. So me being me, fucking right in the inbox. "Hello, Mike. How are you, mate? I've loved you to come on my podcast." All this, big introduction. Yeah. And he said, "I'm not really into like public speaking and that really." He said, "But I wouldn't say never." He said, "But just not right now, and I'm a bit busy." I said, "I understand you're busy." He said, "But here's one for you." He said, "I'll give you a little story." I said, "Go on." He said, "When I first started DJing," he said, I entered a DJ competition in town. He said, "I was only about 17. He said, and I turned up with my records and all that." He said, "And this lad was on before me." He said, "And he was fucking brilliant." He said, "He was fucking banging out the fucking tunes, scratching and all that." He said, "I was stood there thinking, fucking hell, I don't want to go on after him. There's no point going on." He went, "It was you." I said, "Fuck off." I said, "Well, you're doing all right for yourself now, Mike."
I'm going to say that's pretty cool. It's like, I'll tell you a funny story about how I got my first residence. I got that through entering a DJ competition. You know, I won the competition. No one else turned up. Like, which, looking back at it, it's just like me thing to happen. It's like, and at the time, like, I think it was one of those things like me talk about imposter syndrome. It's like winning a DJ competition because no one else bothered to turn up. It's almost like, yeah, but I obviously can't be that good. But people have said like, well, you wouldn't have given you the residency if you were so bad. Right,
listen, a win's a win, Dave. A win is a fucking win, no matter how it comes about. So you started buying all your tunes. Did you have decks yourself at this point?
I didn't at the time. I just used to buy music all the time. Anyway, it's like I think when I was like 11, I started buying me own like CDs and things like that. And people had bought me my parents had bought me the odd ones to that point. And then it was like there was a record. I just remember there was a record shop in Dewsbury opened called Rotate Records, which was the first time we ever had a proper record shop in Dewsbury. We had like Woolworths,
HMV and Virgin and all that.
Yeah, we didn't even have an HMV or anything. Like, we literally had
no Virgins in Dewsbury either, is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing there now. It's like it's literally a dead town. But yeah, they had like Dirty Smith and Woolworths, and then they had this little record shop that used to sell albums, right? But then this other shop called Rotate Records opened in like 1996. So I used to spend every week in there because it was the first one we had that actually sold like proper like dance music vinyl. So I used to buy, and also it's like back then that was around the time I used to be able to get a lot of like what was it we used to do? Like the first week something come out, it'd be like 99p.
That's right, yeah.
So I remember the first things I bought in there was it was Wink High State of Consciousness to 99p, that was when it had been out the year before as well, and then they brought out a new mix it. I bought that, and it was a beloved Ease of Pressure. I bought for like 99p each, and then every week I was in there buying stuff. Like especially like if I knew something was coming out that week, I'm like, I need to get there, so I buy it for 99p. So
did some of your mates have decks or anything like that?
One of my friends had decks, but he had these really crap vinyl decks, and then it's like a couple of. As well as like 18, a couple of my friends had those. They have a Newmark belt dries that had like plastic.
Yes, with the they were like smooth corners.
Yeah,
PTs or something like that, weren't they?
Yeah, and it's like I remember like even back then, it's like we talk about old stuff having good build quality. It's like them if you just drop them down the stairs and snapped in two.
Yeah,
but then it's like the first decks I got was sort of like beginning of 2002, and it was a pair of Stanton S250 CD decks with the other like flip top ones that look like a Mega Drive 2.
Yeah.
And I went through two pairs of those. They were actually really good for the job, for doing the job. And I think I had like some of them to like 2012 when one of my mates saw what I was actually DJing on. Even like back then, that was when I was doing really well for myself DJing. He's like, saw what was mixed. So I was like, how are you managing with them? And just like, I just am. And it's like, and at the time they were quite knackered, and I would have said they needed a service. They needed an exorcism. To be honest,
they needed throwing down the stairs.
we just used to go like out of control with the pitch sometimes. And it's like, but somehow I still wear it. And then it's like my friends took pity on me and gave me their old like, CDJ 350s.
Nice, that's not a bad look, like that, is it?
Yeah, mainly because it's like I think they'd had them like in their loft for like 2 years, trying not bothered to sell them, and they couldn't be bothered, so they gave them to me and took pity on me.
my first CD deck was a Newmark Axis 9.
Oh,
remember them?
I remember them with
a little rubber jog wheel on the top.
I remember that because it's like that was a very like Scouse thing, I think, wasn't it?
Was it?
Like, so I just remember like around like 2007, it's like I was running the Mersey style for them because I took it up from somebody else, and that's how I did it with loads of mates in Liverpool. And every time I went to like an event where they were playing, it's like the tape run decks. It was always a pair of Axis 9s
because they were cheap. I think I paid £80 for mine. A second hand, like
quite good as well.
Why buy new.com? Not a sponsor, by the way. I don't even know if it still exists.
Yeah, I just remember like everyone I knew in Liverpool had a pair of Axis 9s. Right, so it must have just been a Liverpool thing.
I think it's because they were cheap. Obviously, when you compare like a Newmark Axis 9, it's like I say, second hand, 80 quid, even compared to like a second hand CDJ 1000 or you know, whatever, or the 850. I think the next one I got was I had an 850. which is the first one that played MP3s. I had an 850 and an Axis 9, and I had me vinyl decks as well. So remember, so your first gigs then, how did they come about and how did they go?
Well, like I said, the first gig I got was that obviously my residency where I won that DJ competition, but no one else turned up for.
A win's a win, Dave.
But I was there I think I was there for like 2 months because in between me and starting there and leaving, it's like the bar got taken over by someone else and they wanted to tell you. It's like a big bar. Right? Anyone in Dewsbury will know where I'm talking about. It used to be called Principles. That's what everyone knows it as. But I started when it was a place called TP Woods. And it got taken over and turned into Principles in that time. But then because on the back of that, I got a bit of work at other clubs in Dewsbury because at the time there was like 4 nightclubs in Dewsbury, which like think about it now, it's like crazy. It's like there weren't even any nightclubs there in like 2008.
Yeah.
Right. But there was a club up the road that I played at called it was called Chivago's, but it changed its name every 6 months. I remember, like, there used to be a website that reviewed local nightlife, and when it was talking about this club in Dewsbury, it said it's had more failed faceless than Liza Minnelli. But then a lot of times, like, mainly playing at housey stuff, but if I was playing all night, I'd just go for a bit of everything. And then there was a bar up the road from there called Fruit Bar, where that was actually the 3rd time I played out. I had to play like speed garage there because that's people don't play like all like piano house stuff and speed garage. So I played there, and was actually stabbing outside that night. Which when I was 18, it's like looking back at it now, like that should have scared me for life. But because at the time it's like literally I just remember the security and going music off now like that. And then they got everybody outside, but then locked the staff inside. And then half an hour later, come out with blood everywhere, like somebody getting zipped up in a body bag. I was like, thinking about it now, it's like, I'm like, how the hell did I like just not give it up as a bad job? I didn't even like think twice about it. It's like apart from oh shit.
Well, so what year was that?
That was the end of 2001.
Yeah.
It's like literally I finished my A levels in May that year. I got my A level results August 2001, and less than 2 weeks later I started DJing.
Yeah. So did it progress quite quickly? Because I can remember Tidy Weekend of 5, I think it was the first Tidy Weekend that I went to, and I'm pretty sure I remember your name getting in the, obviously maybe off the Tidy forums and stuff like that, the Tidy message board. Your name was kind of getting bandied around back then, if I'm right. So how did it go from playing speed garage and people getting stabbed outside to you being involved with Tidy and stuff like that?
Well, like I said, I've always been into a bit of everything. So it's like, I think around sort of 2002, that was when I was playing more harder stuff, because that was when the Tidy stuff was big. Obviously, you had a lot of the like Blue Record stuff getting big, because it's like, I remember like tunes like Hammer House, The Jumper, Kicking Hard came back out around that time as well. And then there was all that sort of B.O.B. Limited and Southeast Players type stuff. And then obviously, I think that was around the time when you had stuff like Frantic Theme and things coming out as well. So I was playing a lot of the hard stuff, but a lot the more pumping end of it. Yeah. And it's just like from there, it's like I was playing a lot of bounce events, and then it was like 2005. I got a residency at an event called Shock at the Cube in Wakefield. That was like the end of 2005. And at the time, I was quite well known on the forums as well. Like there's a couple of the clubbing forums that I used to spend a lot of time on. So it was around 2004 I started using my name, General Bounce.
That was going to be my next question, actually.
Obviously, my real name's Dave Gray, but it's like, at the time, a singer, David Gray, was famous.
You're beautiful. Is that him? Did he sing Beautiful? Or something that was it? He had a hit song, didn't he?
James Blunt.
Right. Dave Gray, what did he sing?
Gray, some Babylon and Please Forgive Me and stuff like that. He had
That's that right, Babylon, yeah.
Yeah, he had that White Ladder album out. So it's like,
that's right, White Ladder, yeah. I may or may not have been selling top 40 CDs back then. That's how I remember the name.
Well, the only thing I remember about him is one of his tunes had an Orbital remix on it.
Shut up.
It was really, really good. It's like, that's the main thing I remember about him. But it was like, because he got popular around that time, it's like, I thought, I can't use my real name.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to I was trying to come up with a DJ name, and you got to ask me, how did the name come about?
Well, that was going to be my next question. Yeah.
Yeah. The name came about because I was like, I can't think of a decent DJ name. It was like, I just said mentioned it to my mate, and he said, well, what sort of stuff would you say you played? Like, well, general like bouncy stuff. And he said, General Bounce.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
I just used it it's a forum name, and around that time, actually, a lot of the newer hard house DJs, especially the younger ones, we all had silly names. Because like people like Joe Longbottom, he was Abigail Joe. Like Digital Mafia, he's been quite big for the last 10 years, but he used to be called Domestic Dave. And it's like we all have these daft DJ names. So it's like at the time it fitted in, but mine stuck and I never changed it.
Yeah. Well, it seems I didn't know when to refer to you as Dave or the General, to be honest with you, when we first started the podcast.
More people like call me by my proper name now, but it's like, but back then it's like everyone used to call me the General or like Mr. Bounce. Right, so it's like that's what I mean. He kind of stuck, and people still do that to me in clubs as well. Like,
So Tidy, did you start going there as a clubber, or were you involved? How did that come about? Because you were quite heavily involved with Tidy at one point, weren't you?
Right, I started going to hard house nights. I think the first ones I went to were sort of around 2002, 2003. There was a lot of like really small ones in the like Leeds, Bradford area at the time. Because there were things like Housewife's Choice is a big one in Leeds. The big one at the time was Parleyvoo as well, which was actually run by some of the guys who work for Tidy now. I used to go there as a clubber more than anything, but it's like I weren't. How to put it? I didn't really involve myself in the scene as such, in the sense of like getting to know people. I just went along as a club. It was only when I started going on the forums and then actually playing out events myself, like that one in Wakefield, that I started getting to know people. And it's like, I think it's like 2006, that's when I met people like Santown Ends and Dino, who obviously did all the Sam and Dino stuff with. And there's other people out at the time, like a guy called Steve O'Brady, who sadly passed away a couple of years later.
He did a fantastic bootleg of I Don't Care, didn't he, Tony DeVee?
Yeah, he's one that got released on Tidy, because that's how I met Lee Green as well, because I was living with his best friend. And I actually remember, like, a few of his, like, big tunes that they made around that time, like the Dark Society showed me the way. I remember being at his house after I'd been out all weekend and sitting and watching him make that.
Wow.
Right, so it's like me now, like looking back at it, like I remember a lot of these tunes being made. But yeah, he was like one of the first people I met. And it was just over years I was DJing out quite a lot. I didn't actually play for any Tidy events until it was 2014, my first Tidy weekend that I played at.
Okay.
Right, but I knew those guys all the way through, and the main one I started playing for was 2010. I started playing for a night called Rave in Leeds, which was run by Santown End, and Irish Davey used to run Parleyvoo. But that's how I got that DJing to those sort of events more often, because I kind of drifted away from it for a while and started playing at all these bounce events. Like I played at like Wigan Pier and stuff in that time.
Did you? Yeah.
Right. Obviously, like when it was going towards the time it was going to shut down, and then I started playing hard house again, because I kind of like got bored of like the bounce stuff, because that was when it was all just cheesy donk remix and pop tunes. I was like, I can't be arsed playing this anymore. And then I heard, I think what it was around 2010, I started hearing a lot of hard house stuff that I really liked again. Like it's technical remix of Rescue Me, Ben Stevens' Sam and Dino one. I remember hearing that and just thinking, this is amazing. If this is what hard house is like again, I'm going back to it, because I'd originally got bored of all the hard house stuff, because every time I went out, it was all like that full-on vicious circles type stuff, which I like. Yeah, I really liked that stuff until it was literally you're into hard house night, and that's all that got played all night. It was like, for God's sake, it was like go in there at like 10 o'clock and it's 152 BPM, and then by the end it's just really dark and moody. I was like, no, I can't be doing this.
So you mentioned Donk and Bounce there. Obviously, you run and own a record label called Cheeky Tracks, which is not to be confused with the bootleg label of back in the day. So how did the record label come about?
Right. Like I say, I started DJing for Rave in 2010. And I started playing there because there's two guys called Ian and Andy who were known as the Cheeky Boys. And they used to DJ quite a lot around Leeds, like 20 odd years ago. But we'd come back and they got a room at Rave like just like playing bounce. And they got me involved and they asked me if I wanted to get involved with the label and make some tunes. Right. So I got involved with the label, making a few tunes with them. And at the time, a lot of the stuff we were signing a lot of bedroom producers who weren't really up to standard. But we had some good ideas, but we weren't really up to the right standard, apart from like one or two people who we had on there regularly. So I knew a lot of bounce producers at the time who were kind of getting ignored a bit because of that sort of stuff we were making, but weren't making that pop donk stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I got them involved with the label, and then it's just like over time, I was doing a lot of the admin stuff and doing a lot of the signing the tracks, and they just like basically ran the label and managed the money. And then it got to like 2015 when they'd kind of like drifted out of it again. They were working a lot, they were going fishing a lot as well. Right. They just said, look, you might as well like do this all yourself. So it all got transferred into my name. And I've been running it ever since. And because I had more control of it, I was able to just go, right, I can do this how I want it to be now.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things I've just been really passionate about doing. It's like I had no idea how to run a label when I started doing it. And I would say I still don't to some extent. It's just like I've just had to learn everything myself along the way and hope I'm getting stuff right.
Yeah.
And that's been a lot of what's the big part of my job now. It's like, obviously, I tell you I'm DJing full time and things like that now, but obviously that on its own doesn't pay the bills. But I've managed to get the record label to a point where that kind of pays the bills.
Good.
Like,
so when you say you dabbled in production, what was the I assume it was all software based by that point.
Well, yeah, it was like I was doing a lot of stuff with like Ableton and FL Studio when it was like when it was called Fruity Loops. Yeah. But being quite honest, it's like the actual technical side of producing music bores the crap out of me. It's like the actual sitting at a computer and doing it, I find really boring because when I did music at school, it's like I can play 3 instruments. I can write melodies on a scale sheet. I can write harmonies on a scale sheet. I had a full-size keyboard when I was like 14, and I used to like think I was Jean-Michel Jarre, just like
the lasers,
like, hours at a time. Yeah, like I'd make sure like I had this like a little like portable tape recorder, just stick a C90 tape in it, and just play constantly for 90 minutes. And do like the Jean-Michel Jarre thing, where it's just a whole like continuous album in just like playing like random stuff. Like, so it's like I can actually, like I said, I can play 3 instruments. It's actually the technical side of putting it all together on a computer. I genuinely find really boring. Right. So what I tend to do is I'll go in with somebody and work with them. Like I've done a lot of tracks like people like Ben Stevens, and I've done a couple with I'm thinking of now. I've got a couple of friends I've done stuff with. I've done stuff with Digital Mafia. So it's like I prefer to go in and work with somebody who can do all the technical stuff, and I'll do all the actual like keyboardy stuff. And I can't do the whole like what people do where they produce over Zoom. It's like I can't do that. It's like I've got to actually be there.
Yeah.
Like,
so I got a shock when I had Paul Glasby on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think it was last year or this year, I can't remember now. And I didn't know he doesn't make his own track. It's weird. A producer and an engineer, people get confused. So you go in with the idea and you're sitting there saying, no, I want that loud, I want this coming like that. That's the producer. The technicians that want. So Paul doesn't actually make his own tunes, although he when you hear a Paul Glasby tune, you know it's a Paul Glasby tune. I know you had a deal with Paul recently, which we'll go on to in a little bit. Don't forget you can catch me each and every Thursday night for my show, Absolute Old School, only on In Demand Radio, where I play you 2 hours of classics and a feast of forgotten gems, usually on the harder side of the spectrum. We kick off with the early 90s every week, and then we have the trance flashback section, followed by the spotlight section. In the past, we've featured clubs and events like Kinetic, The Drome, Good Grief, labels like Tidy Tracks, Bonsai and Shock, and artists such as Ultrasonic, Tony DeVee and Scott Brown. We always finish off nice and tough with the Go Hard or Go Home section. You can catch it on In Demand Radio Thursday nights from 11 p.m. or listen back absolutely free of charge on indemandradio.com or download the free In Demand Radio app for Apple or Android.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, right, I've always pointed this out to people because I had that kind of mindset when I first started doing it. Oh, if you don't do it all yourself, it's not the same, right? And I do get why people think that, but I think people don't realize, especially now when we're like well into like, it's like everyone who's been born this century is like nearly 30 now. It's like I don't think people realize this. It's like that was like pretty much standard back in the 80s and 90s. Like you, especially when it was all like hardware synths and things like that. All right, people had no choice but to do it that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's like you look at all the dance music that's been made in history. It's like 3 people made some of the biggest records ever. Like, right? And you'd actually think about who those people are. It's like Ian Bland. Right, it was obviously Dream Frequency, but then he's like Dancing Divas. He was Quake, and obviously with Rob Tissera, and then it's like, and then he did a lot of donk stuff, like with Pestella in the early 2000s, and then you got like Ramon Zenka, who's done. He was hardcore, but then he was like Fragma and Interactive, and all these sort of records you wouldn't ever consider would be from the same person, right? But now, because people have grown up with being able to just download a bit of crack software in a sample pack, they think they have to do it all themselves. And actually, one of the things I've pointed out to people in the past is a lot of these people haven't had any musical training, right? So it's like a lot of the time they're going into it completely blind and just doing whatever they think is right. And that's why I think you get a lot of like really sort of like techie dance music now, like you got all the like minimal stuff. Because they don't know any other way of making it. And so it kind of like swings around about this, I think. It's like, obviously there's a bit of difference between somebody just paying somebody to make a tune for them and not having any involvement. But it's like sometimes you need like the engineer and the person who knows music to be able to do stuff.
Otherwise, you'd end up with, and we've all heard them, those out-of-key bootlegs where the vocals just don't go with the tune at all. You know, and they think it sounds great, but because they haven't got a musical ear and they're not an engineer, they don't understand it's out of key.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like some of the guys who are producing some amazing stuff now are people I used to like say. There was a lad called Phil Critchley. He was from Liverpool. Like he did a load of stuff under Groove Control. When he first started producing, he used to send me all these bootlegs and things like, or edits he'd done where it's like, they all have like out of key bass lines and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I used to just sit with him and point out where he's going wrong. And now he's amazing. It's like, we used to literally sit on the phone, on the landline, like playing tunes through down the phone. It's like, bear in mind, he couldn't hear that fall down landline. Like, he's supposed to like be able to tell him like what when it was out of key or when it was right or what to do next and stuff. And we used to spend like 9-10 hours on the landline, like making tunes down the phone.
So the record label, and you've had some really big support over the years. So tell us some of your success stories from the record label.
Oh, to be fair, it's like it was getting some quite good support around sort of like the mid 2010s. Like BK played a few of our tracks, Tiny Boys played a few of them, and I was just like making sure I sent them to like people I thought would play them. And obviously there's quite a wide range of music on the label, so it's like, so I'll send people like 10 promos, but we might play one of them, right? But I'm not bothered as long as I play one.
Yeah.
And it's like I really sort of balance stuff, really sort of harder stuff, really sort of funky, like the funkier end of hard house and stuff like that. And then mainly sort of since like 2019, we've had like quite a lot of really big DJs playing our stuff. Like the main one that stands out to me is Hannah Lang. Played one. There's a track called Love So Deep by a lad called Kid Dynamo, which it just knocked that up out of nowhere. And right, Amber D, she was playing a lot on her live streams. And then when like all the big events started kicking off again after lockdown, I just got tagged in a load of videos of Hannah Lang playing Love So Deep. Wow. I was like, wow. And I ended up speaking to her quite a lot of that because I just messaged her saying, oh, thank you for playing her, and said, oh, I'll send you the videos. And she had a really good video where it's like from like filming her from the back, where it's like you could see all the Scotland people there, like just waving all the flags during the breakdown. And ended up sending like loads more tracks. And she actually played quite a few of mine, and she was playing some of them on Radio 1 because she played at Warehouse Project, and she played one of my tracks that I did with my friend Rick. Right, so it's like, yes, this is
fantastic. Bloody hell. So you've done some big gigs over the years as well. You played at Tidy Weekenders. You played at Rejuvenation as well. Rejuv is on my bucket list. I have been pecking away to try and get on there. I've not played there, no.
I thought you might have played there by now, you know.
I'd love to play the Hard House and Hard Santorina. I really would. It's literally written down on a pad in my little studio there. It's on my bucket list. I really want to play.
I'll have a word with Cypher for you.
Please do, yeah. You're not the only one.
Quite well now. I started going to Rejuv like 2015, and it's like I think the first one I went to might have been not the birthday. It was the winning sort of like February, March, then one in November, don't they? It was one in November 2015. I just went there and thought, this is fucking amazing. And I just never missed one since then. And to me, it's my favourite rave in the country.
Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing because it's just like you've got like 6 rooms now. They've got like a chill out room and everything now. And it's like, forget that place full. It's the only place I ever go where there's a bloody queue outside. Like,
and the atmosphere is incredible, isn't it? Everyone in there just seems so friendly and welcoming.
There's no dickheads, and it's like I think I put a lot of the lack of dickheads down to the fact that basically if you don't give Suzanne a hug on the way in, you don't get in.
See, I didn't know when I first went. I went, oh, she give me a hug. It's like, no, she gives everybody a hug.
She gives everybody a hug, and it's like if you don't hug her back, she won't let you in.
Yeah.
And I do think that's going a long way to like making sure there's no dickheads in there, right? Cause I don't ever remember there being any like trouble there at all. It's like I think there might have been once when I saw a minor fight kick off, and the bouncer sorted it out straight away. He's literally got out within like 30 seconds. And it's just like, it's just my favourite rave in the country by far. I first played there it was the birthday in 2019. And I remember Suze kept telling me, I'm going to make sure I book you at some point. And when people do that, I'm just like, just get on with it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'll believe when I hear it. And then Sai eventually booked me, and I played there every year since then. I played 3 of the birthdays that I usually play like the all day now.
Yeah,
it's like I said, I've never missed one, even when I've always had a policy of like not having gigs on Rejuve night, but then a couple have fallen where it's like either I can't turn it down or it was already planned and it's been rearranged. Right, so it's like the last one. It's like I got there like 2 hours before it finished, and then I think there was one where I played at Wigan Pier birthday on the same night, and it's like my mate like pegged it up the motorway because I was like, I'm not missing it, even if it's just for an hour, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, so I've only ever been to one. I was actually promoting the Couture 303 brand at the time, and I went there. And I remember I was walking around all the different arenas, but it was the Hard House and Hard Sands. I was driving as well. I drove up there from Liverpool. Yeah. And I went with my mate, and I said, I know what? I said, I could fucking stay here all fucking night. Honest to God, it was brilliant.
The Hard House and Transfer is like considering it's not specifically that kind of event, and a lot of the people who are in that room are not the sort of people you necessarily see at Hard House events. You see quite a few of them there, but it's mainly just ravers. It's like it gets busier than some of the Hard House nights do. I've been to Hard House nights that have had like a fifth of the people that room gets in there every time.
Yeah, like, so I am heavily campaigning to get on a Rejuve. And your first Tidy Weekender, how was that?
The first Tidy Weekender, that right, I got very, very wrecked. I don't realize like the first two Tidy Weekends. Like, bearing in mind, it's like that was especially back in sort of like 2014. That was the biggest gig I'd had. I got very, very wrecked. It's like mainly because. I was there on the Thursday. Like we used to have what we call the shit disco in the reception area on the Friday when everyone was coming in, and Paul Maddox was asked to play like an 80s pop set, and he eventually said, "Do you want to come and do it with me?" And it's just like I just remember being there on Thursday thinking, "I need to get smashed to this," and I got very, very, very wrecked, and I ended up like I got dressed in my dragon onesie, playing like Duran Duran in the reception area. There's a video of it on my Facebook page actually, and then it's like from then on, it's just like I just like no, I'm staying up. And I think by the time she played my set, I'd been up for through 2 days.
Oh my God. I remember the tidy phrase, sleeping is cheating.
Yeah, that's how he's like. And back then, it's like I just thought nothing of it as well. That's so crazy. It's like I don't know how I did it these days, but yeah, I'd been up for like 2 days. I was an absolute disgrace the state I was in, and
you still pulled it off the bag though.
Well, this thing is like I remember playing the set, and he's like, well, I don't remember playing the set actually. I remember the first 10 minutes. And then it's just a blank for 30 minutes. And then I remember playing one of my own tracks. And right, because me and Ben Stevens did this really cheesy remix of remember the Mashup Kids Clouds Above thing? With them.
Yeah.
Used to be YouTube thing. We did this. We kind of did it for a joke. But I played that, and then all of a sudden, just remember looking up, it was like the room was full, and when people tuning like I just played The Dawn, and I was like, oh shit, where am I? And then
I've just woke up.
When I came off the decks, it's like people come up to me saying that's the best set you've played in fucking months. And I'm just like, I'm glad you know, because I can't remember. I've got video clips of me playing, and it's like I look fine, but the official
you wasn't.
The official photos, the photos of me ended up getting taken down. I remember Sam Townend coming to me weekly and said those are the worst photos I've ever seen of anybody at a weekender. Right, but yeah, I was a bit smashed that time. It was like, and I don't know how I did it, but I somehow got through it.
Which weekend was that, mate?
It was around the time we started the Ideal thing. So it was
okay.
It was when they just bought the Tidy brand back, so it was called the Ideal Tidy Weekender.
Yeah.
And then the next one I played at was Tidy 21, and then I played at the last two that they did because they did the last one we did at Ponting before it closed down. I played that one, and then I played for the one at Vauxhall Great Yarmouth this year. Which was interesting.
Yeah, fantastic.
That was an interesting one because
completely different landscape, isn't it?
So it was actually it actually made it better. I think because a lot of us have got older now. It's like I think we all knew Ponting was a shithole. Right? It's like it was an absolute dive, and it's like I think. Especially when it came back after lockdown, it's like you kind of felt how grim Pontins was.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I even remember like the first one I went to after lockdown when I went with a couple of friends. We opened the fridge and the fridge was black inside. It was just like sod days. It's like I think we ended up getting it replaced. But then it's like when it got moved to Great Yarmouth, the weird thing for me was I've been on loads of family holidays there. And it's like my parents still go every year. So it's like when we saw that was DJ there, we're just like, how are we going to have it there? And it's like, it'll be all right. It's like I just knew it'd be interesting, and also it's a much nicer site. There were people saying, "Oh, we'll never be allowed back because he'll end up getting wrecked," which, as it turns out, we weren't allowed back. But it's like I thought, you'd have to make the effort to destroy that place. It's not like Ponting where you open a cupboard and it falls off.
The door comes off. Yeah,
that's the main thing is but it was really good there. And I noticed that because it was a nicer place, everyone looked after it more, and people made the effort to eat and sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, one of the things I remember was Amber D said to me, like on the Sunday afternoon, I just had a shower. It was lovely. Like, it's nice.
Said nobody ever in Ponton's pressed at him.
It's not like Ponting where it's like you caught Legionnaire's disease every time you went in the shower.
We used to take duct tape for the shower button.
Oh, the shower! Yeah, that's what it was like because it was like being at the swimming baths, where you had to keep
you got 30 seconds, and that was it.
You had to keep pushing shower, but you got like 30 seconds. You were lucky if it was even warm.
Yeah, was you there, Lynx Africa?
I mean, in our caravan this year, it's like the mate was like cooking like scrambled eggs for us and stuff. It's like you wouldn't have dared cook on the cookers in Pontins.
Okay, now. So Unity, you played in Unity in the Sun last year, or was it this year or last year? It was this year, wasn't it?
I played it everyone since 2021.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and that came about mainly because sort of like I think I was meant to go out there in 2019, but I was skint because that was around the time, basically about sort of 2017, 2018, I got made redundant from my old job, and that's when I realised I was making enough of DJing to try and make a go of it, but
Yeah.
I was still like just barely paying my bills at the time.
Yeah.
And then it's like I decided to go in 2021 after seeing people go in 2020 and just like I could have done with an holiday. Well, obviously, but we were all stuck indoors then.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like 2021, I went out there, and around that was a year when a lot of the DJs still weren't allowed to go out there because they hadn't been vaccinated for COVID.
Yeah.
Right, so they weren't allowed to fly out there. And I always keep my USBs on my house keys. Right, so when I went over there, it's like, right, so when Bunter, Dan who runs it, he was asking people who could play a house set for me and stuff like that. I'm just going, Dave's got all the USBs.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing like 8 sets when I was out there.
Fuck off.
I think I played there pretty much every day apart from the last 2 days. And I still went and just enjoyed the holidays. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like Dan's wife, Sonia, right? She just comes in and said, "You've had a better time than anyone else here." And she said, "You could come back next year." And then I've just been back there every year since, and I'm going back for the last one next year. So,
is the last one? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the last one next year. I think they're moving it somewhere else.
Okay.
But, I don't know exactly what's happening with it. So I think it's been going like 10 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of just wanting to change, but it's like, I'm going to miss going out there because it's like, you get to know all the like staff in the bars. In, like,
yeah.
It's like, every year I've been back there, it's like, you always remember us and what we want to drink.
They'll fucking miss you as well, won't they?
Yeah, so it's like, especially when we go out there, like, sort of a week before everything gets going. So it's like we give them their like first busy week of the year.
Yeah. So you mentioned Amber D before. You did a stream recently with not just one legend, but 2 legends. Tell us about that.
Well, I've been good friends with Amber for a long time now. It's like basically, like we've always really got on, and she was always trying to get me around here to go like have a mixer and stuff. And we ended up being really good friends, mainly during sort of lockdown, because I think what happened was, I just remember, when everyone goes into everyone went into blind panic, didn't they? Especially DJs. We were all like, what are we going to do? It's like, I remember it was I think it was a couple of days after we went into lockdown. It's like I went to see Amber because we just thought, we'll just do what we want. It's like, we're all right, it's just us 2. And we just sat there and like thought, we looked at all the stuff that we could do, like to try and get through it. But we ended up claiming loads of grants because there was like loads of grants available to like musicians and DJs and stuff at the time. So we just claimed them all. So we had some money to get through it. And then we ended up doing a load of live streams together. And I can't remember how many we've done over here. We've done loads now. And then she's kind of, like wound down with the live streaming a bit because she's doing more teaching and stuff. But then she arranged to do a back-to-back with Glasby on live stream.
Why not, eh?
She'd been in his podcast because he's got a podcast now.
Yeah, no, I know. I think he just started his, and I invited him on mine. To kind of push his a little bit as well, and he's obviously well more established and got more contacts than me in the hard house scene, so he's branching off doing more like that kind of stuff now, because it was originally a podcast when I grew up or something like that.
It was more like a business people podcast. We've obviously interviewing people in the hard house scene as well who we knew were business people, and actually. The main thing I remember about that is it just popped up in my feed one day on YouTube, and I watched it. Like, oh shit, it's Paul Glasby.
Yeah.
And then I shared it a couple of times and mentioned it to Amber. And she's like, I think she watched it, just like, oh, it's interesting. And it's like next week she got a message off him asking to go on the podcast. Right. So they ended up like getting together to do a live stream while he's been back in the UK. And I've never met Glasby before until like this last couple of weeks. I've seen him out and about, obviously, but never really met him. And I just happened to message him because I spoke to him a couple of times on Instagram about his podcast, and then I just happened to message him because he's been back in the UK, but I was going to miss all his gigs because I had a gig when he was at Insomniacs, and then I had another gig last week when he was doing the Glasby Time thing, which I'm absolutely gutted I missed because all my friends were there. And he's like, I just messaged him and said, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss all your gigs while you're over. He said, why didn't you go over to Amber's when she's doing stream with me. So I messaged her, and she just invited me to go and join her.
Fantastic.
And the thing is like, I think the weird thing for me was more than anything, it's like the thought of me going on the decks after Paul Glasby in any situation, because people don't know me for playing proper hard stuff, but it's like I've always liked it, and I can happily play it. It's just that I stopped doing it around 2007 when everyone else was doing it.
Yeah.
And then it's like I just thought, what the hell am I going to play? And then it just went on after him. And just like, I'll just slap out a load of the tunes I used to play, like all the Adam M and Ben Stevens stuff and things like that. And I just remember the people who were watching it specifically for Glasby were messaging me like on Facebook, just going, "You need to play this hard all the time," and just like, I kind of miss playing it. Actually, it's like really good fun being able to do stuff like that. I'm kind of hoping that Amber puts the recording on YouTube, because she records them all now and then occasionally puts one of them on YouTube. So I kind of hoping she puts it on a YouTube channel, because I kind of like to watch it back myself, to be honest. But it's like there's not really any evidence of me playing that hard. It's like online, but it's like I used to play stuff like that all the time, like especially like sort of 2006, 2007, when I started getting booked in the main room for a lot of the harder events. And then it's like when I saw everybody else was doing it, I just got bored of it. That was all it was.
It's a funny story with Amber Day, actually, because obviously, I first time I went to Saturday Weekend the 5, she was on, and she was she was a big star then. You know, we obviously had Charlotte Birch as well, and Anne Savage, Lisa Lashes, Pin Up. But Amber D kind of stood out, and obviously over the years I've followed her career, and you know she's a well-established DJ, fantastic producer. Yeah. So I reached out to Amber maybe about 12 months ago to ask her to come on the podcast. And I mistakenly said, you know, you'll be like the second female who's been on my podcast.
Yeah.
She's read into it, maybe a little bit too much, maybe the way I've worded it. And she was like, you know, I don't want to come on your podcast and just be like, you know, this token female type thing. And that wasn't the case at all. I've got a lot of respect for Amber D. Like I say, followed her as a DJ, as a producer, and I wasn't just getting her on to make the numbers up, and I just think we got off on the wrong foot. So I did explain myself to her, and she accepted that. But I would like to get her on, for obviously, because it's such a big name in the industry. And like I say, I've got the utmost respect for it. It wasn't that, you know, I just wanted to get another girl on to fill me quota type thing. It just, unfortunately, I think,
especially like the last couple of years, like one thing I've always said is like when you end up doing a lot of this sort of thing online, it's like you can fall into the trap of like reading too much into what people say, because it's like obviously when you have that whole thing where you're just reading text. You read it a different way, can't you? Yeah, you can read it entirely the wrong way. It's like it's just one of the things, I think, because it's like she spends a lot of time online, like with doing what she does, and it's like it's just a natural thing, because I've done it myself. And it's like one of the things that me and Amber are really good at. We're really good at checking each other when we're like that, because it's like she won't mind me saying this. It's like, right, once a time when she was having an argument with somebody on her Facebook page, and I just like I just laughed at her, like when I think she said it, and she sent me a message saying, "What's with the passive aggressive emojis?" And, it's like, and I just went, read that back to yourself and realize how daft that sounds. Passive aggressive emojis. And then she went, "I'm just being silly." I'm just like, I went, yeah. He's like, but it's just one of those things you end up naturally doing. It's like you read. The more time you spend online, the more you end up naturally doing that. I think as well for female DJs, so many times. I think for female DJs in the industry as well, I think that natural defense mechanism's up there, because you do still get a lot of people who think that these girls are just getting DJ because of the way they look or whatever. And there is plenty of that going on. Don't get me wrong, but that actual talent. The likes of your Lisa Lashes, your Amber D's, your Anne Savage, you know, your pin-ups, genuinely fucking talented people. Doesn't matter what gender they are or whatever. You know, the fantastic DJs and fantastic producers. But unfortunately, there still is that little bit of a stigma there where you will get a dickhead who'll go, "Oh, you're only getting these gigs because you got big tits and all." Like, listen, I think the horrible thing is it's like. Because I've always kind of said, and even Amber says this as well, he said, it's not so much that female DJs get more abuse than anyone else. Because I think anybody who ends up being quite online, like I done it myself recently where I'm doing more stuff online just because obviously I want to keep myself out there. And it's like I get it quite a lot as well. And it's just like I think it's easy. It's easier for lads to ignore it because a lot of big comments you get is just like, oh, just pressing buttons and all this. A lot with women, they get a lot of very specific.
It's personal.
It's abuse, like
it's about their
comments on
image
the
and stuff
looks.
like that.
Comments on the little sort of like comments like, oh, you're only getting geese because you get your tits out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They get a lot of very so I can understand why, especially to like female DJs, it feels like they're being targeted more because they are being targeted because they're women.
Yeah.
Right. It's not so much that they necessarily get more abuse, but they get targeted because they're women. Right. And so it kind of naturally makes them more defensive about it. And I completely get it because it's just like so especially some of the comments that I've seen, like female DJs get, I'm just like, who do you think you are speaking to someone like this? I mean, Lisa Pinup had it the other week. A couple of months ago now, actually, but when played at Rejuv, had it was like I think it was like a Wild West theme. So she went in like an Indian headdress and everything, and these guys from Canada, right, just started like giving her like the worst abuse, and she'd never dealt with anything like that at the time. I'm a bit of a gobshite on the internet, so it's it's like I've got used to like being able to answer people back, but obviously with Lisa never experienced that. She got really upset.
Yeah.
And I remember like she was screenshotting me some of the private messages she was getting was people blokes saying she should be stoned to death and things like that. I'm like, what the hell? It's just like every time I read it, I just thought, this is men saying this to a woman because they think she's done something offensive by dressing up in this way. For
it's fancy dress
theme.
Yeah,
it was a fancy dress theme, and it's like, and they were like saying the most horrible things to her. And it's like I was like, where do these people get off? And it's like, and it's like a lot of it's probably like because they're miles away in another country, and they knew they'd never get any comeback for it. But it's like I was saying to her, and like, if that was me, I would have been publicly posting that.
Yeah.
But obviously she didn't want the drama, so it's like the main thing was just like just block them all.
I like the way Amber makes tracks. I know you've made a few tracks yourself, but Amber made a track once. Some fella who was giving a shit, and she used it. I thought that was fucking genius. I'm not gonna lie.
She's made a couple of tracks where it's like it's mainly because like I actually like I'm an admin on her DJ page, and it's like when like people talk about like getting sent dick pics and things like that, I've seen more than I ever want to see. In fact, what I said to her was, I said the ultimate way to shame these people, buy a 3D printer and start printing them out, and then sell them as Amber T merch, like builders, like. But I think that was when she started. I don't know if you've seen that group she's got on Facebook called the Inbox of Doom.
I've seen something recently, yeah.
Where it's like basically it started off as somewhere for her to just like post all these screenshots just to like have a laugh about them, and now it's turned into like everybody else posts the ones they get as well. It's like some of the stuff she gets crazy. It's like I tend not to go in her inbox now because it's like she gets a lot of
like a Stephen King movie in there.
Yeah, she gets a lot of messages, like obviously serious, especially, but it's like I was actually horrified at how many
the ratio of good to bad,
and some it's like that was the one she made a tune out of. I think some guy was like sending her dirty voice notes, and she made a tune out of it.
But I mean, listen, I've come on from the respect, from the what's the perspective of a married man. I'm married now. What's the success rate? What I mean, but if you're that type of person who wants to take a picture of his cock and send it to someone, what's the success rate? It can't be very fucking high. Who's going to go, oh, that's lovely. Where are you? I'll come and see you.
It can't. That's what I mean. It can't possibly work. It's like
it mustn't work.
I don't know a single woman who's ever admitted to, some lad sent me dick pics.
And we've been going out for 12 months now.
Yeah, and it's just like, for God's sake, it's just like I don't know. But the weird thing about this is like, right, I've always said like this is the only reason camera phones even became popular, right? Because it's like I remember when camera phones first started becoming a thing. It was like sort of 2004, 2005. And the daft thing is, the first people I remember doing things like that, like sending photos of the genitals to people, were girls.
Yeah.
The girls. It's like, right, I remember like we used to go to this club in Doncaster, and there was a lot of like girls who went out in Doncaster. And what we would do is that we would Bluetooth I don't think it was Bluetooth back then. I can't remember how we did it back then. It was like, it might have been, what was it, WAP or something like that.
Yeah. MMS.
They used to send you like send like random people. It was Bluetooth, because what we used to do was just like see
Blue jacking.
Yeah, that was it, blue jacking. It's like we used to just send people like buy me a drink, I'll show you my pussy and stuff like that. I was like,
OnlyFans before it existed.
Yeah, lads are stupid like that. It's like the first, like what we would call like modern social media, I remember, was Face Party.
That's right, yeah.
And it's like, and that was like, it was just basically a hookup site. I remember you used to go on there, it's just like all these girls like with like names like "You Can't Have This" and stuff like that. But then they're like flashing the maps on there. It's like, and it's like, and you. Because I do remember, like, particularly you called "You Can't Have This," and it's like I didn't know anybody who hadn't had her.
Yeah. Like, my name is I Wouldn't Want It.
Yeah, but that was a weird thing. It's just like I remember, like all this stuff like that became popular because people were able to like do stuff like that where they could like send people mucky pictures and stuff. It's like, if you think about it, the internet was basically founded on like porn and like horrible pictures. Like,
it went dark for a time, didn't it? Beheadings and all that kind of stuff were fucking everywhere.
I don't ever remember a point like back in like when we first got the internet, that the internet wasn't just degenerate stuff. It was all like rotten.com and like adult.
Yeah, rotten.com. That fucking hell.
The chat rooms that kids used to go on. It's like if you'd be talking to like somebody else I thought was their age, but it'd be like some dirty old man in the country. That's the weird thing. Is like that's how all this stuff ended up coming about, I think.
That's the dark side of social media. Obviously, there's a lot of bullying goes on, a lot of ignorance. I mean, I had one the other day. A guy, I'm not going to mention his name, and he posted a story of a local swimming baths, saying that this particular gentleman of a particular ethnicity was pleasuring himself by the poolside, and it was a big investigation.
Yeah.
And then the next day came on and said, "Yeah, that wasn't true. Why post it in the fucking first place? You know, why? I understand there's a lot of tension in the country at the minute, but people are just making stuff up." And if you're the type of person who makes that stuff up, you're a fucking dickhead. End of.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're just as bad if you're posting it without any confirmation that it's real, because you're just adding to the problem. If I'm fucking racist fucking Rob, and I say, fucking Mohammed next door has just been fucking wanking the cat off, and I've only got 10 followers, but you're Mr. fucking popular and got 5,000 followers, and repost that, you're exacerbating the fucking problem.
And I think that's actually the main problem with the internet now. It's like, right, it's like I don't necessarily think that social media is the content is any worse than what it was like 20 years ago. Because like I say, it's like when I used to run Mersey Style, it's like I remember like there'd be couples on there having arguments, and it's like having an argument in front of everybody on the forum, and then when we go, oh, you shit in bed anyway. It's like next thing you know, it's like, that's not what you said last night, and they're posting each other's videos, and then it's like, we thought nothing of it. Obviously, that's a criminal offence now. It's like, looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, we'd be in jail for some of the stuff we used to post on the internet back then, right? But so I don't necessarily think the content is any worse, but the problem now is you've got people monetizing the content.
Yeah.
Like, it's like my DJ page is monetized now, and it's like some of the memes I'll post and things like that will make me like 50 quid. Yeah. And it's like so it's like people are incentivized now to post stuff that they know is going to get people's backs up and go viral because they're making money off it. I think that's the worst thing about it now. Yeah. And obviously you've got the fact that I suppose back 20 years ago, we used to go on the internet like on a computer at home, and like we'd be on it for like an hour or something like that. Now it's like it's in his phone.
Just there, isn't it?
it's constantly on his phones. It's like, does anybody even use the phone as a phone
A
anymore?
phone, yeah.
People don't even text anymore. They just use WhatsApp.
Yeah, it's
But it's like that's what I mean. It's like you're constantly connected to it. And it's like I've always said, actually, it's like I actually think like you shouldn't be legally allowed a contract phone when you're under like 18, because a lot of the stuff when I had a pay-as-you-go smartphone, a lot of the stuff that was on there was content locked unless you like locked it with a credit card. Right. Yeah. So I actually think that's probably the best thing, because I know so many people whose kids have gone mental when they've been not necessarily mental as in mental health wise, have just gone like turned into dickheads when they've gone on TikTok and things like that. They don't know what they're accessing.
Well, that's it. It's a crazy world, and obviously I've got 5 kids altogether, but 2 of them are younger, and it's a scary world because you've got to monitor everything, because you know when your 11-year-old daughter's going on, whether it be TikTok or whatever, and we constantly jumping in, so don't talk to anyone. Yeah. Only talk to your friends, and I mean your friends who you go to school with. If someone jumps on and says, "Oh yeah, I know," I said, that's the same as when we used to say to you, you know, if it's only me and your mum pick you up from school, or your nan or your granddad, that's it. If someone comes and says, "Well, I know your dad," you don't get in the fucking car. It's the same with conversations now, isn't it? You've got to say to your kids, listen, you don't know who that is. I said, when someone says to you, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking Annalise, I hang around with fucking whatever," that could be a 50-year-old man. That could be a bad man. You know, and
exactly.
The world we live in now, kids aren't even safe in their own bedrooms anymore. You know, you used to get bullied if you went to school. Now you're getting bullied, fucking sat on the couch at home.
You see that's happening with a few of my friends. It's like they getting like harassed at home because they're on WhatsApp and things like that. And it's like that's what I mean. It's like that's what I've always said. Like, just keep your kids off social. Yeah. Don't give your kids a phone because all the friends have got one. I think that's my biggest issue a lot of the time. It's like a lot of people like they will give the kids a phone, but they'll let them access everything. And it's like just give your kids access to bloody WhatsApp.
And you know what we just discussed some of the stuff we've seen on phones over the years. You'd be naive to think that they're not flying around the school playgrounds as well, like.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like stuff like it's like I remember like when stuff like even like 2007, 2008 is also like meat spin and 2 girls 1 cup, and it's like we used to think it was funny, and it's just like it's like now
gross, isn't it? It's fucking gross, and it's warping kids' minds. You know, it really is.
Exactly. It's like it's the shame because it's like there have actually been a lot of good things come out of social media. Like that's like one of the things that's mainly helping like DJs and stuff at the moment. We haven't got gigs or anything. We haven't got gigs like we used to anyway. Yeah. Like where it's like I used to be playing out every week before lockdown. It's like now I tend to play out like I can probably count on like both hands like how many times I'll play out in 1 year at least. Yeah. Right. So it's like now I've got more regular gigs, but it's like last year, it's like I was literally just DJing in summer and then I had nothing. So like I was having to find ways of getting myself out there. Yeah. And that's the thing is like there are a lot of good things that have come out of social media. It's just like you can't take the rough with the smooth, don't you?
Well, that's it. Social media is a blessing and a curse. I mean, let's be honest. Me and you wouldn't be having this conversation now if it wasn't for social media. You know, the likes of podcasts and, like you say, live streams and stuff like that. But there's definitely a dark side to social media. But back to the Amber D thing, I understand why she was understandably defensive, but I'm not that guy. I think she knows that now. She's liked a few of my posts over the years, so I think maybe the timing's right. I'll reach out with a tentative message and see if she's interested again.
Well, the thing is, well, it's like I can't feel like I'm bigging myself up here because I'm such good friends. She's like she'll usually like. More likely to like speak to me, like she knows I'm already work with, because it's like because there's been a few times where it's like I've been introduced to people and it's like if you want to date me, it's like I'll be friends with you, you know.
Well, that's it, and that's how life works. You know, if you don't know someone, but someone you know or respect, oh yeah, they're fucking sound. Then you'll take that word, and that's how the podcast has worked for me. Obviously, I was aware when I first started it. My first podcast was with Lee Hall, who runs Back to the Dock. I know you've worked with Lee.
Oh, yeah, I know Lee, yeah.
And it wasn't really a podcast. I was promoting the clothing brand, which I was running at the time. And I just did a bit of content for the website. And then it developed into a podcast over time. And I kind of had my eye on it and think, okay, so if I want to get Judge Jules and my last guest was, MC fucking Wheelie Bin, he's not going to be interested.
Yeah.
But if I can work my way up the ladder, and that's how it's kind of
Yeah.
worked to me. So when I approached the likes of Paul Glasby, I said, I've had Maddox on, I've had Lee Haslam on,
Yeah.
I've had Ammo on. And he was like, yeah, sound brilliant, I'll do it. If I'd have gone to him and said,
down the road from me.
who does?
Maddox lives down the road from me.
Does
It's
he?
really
Yeah.
weird. Where I live, it's like I live in a place called Liversidge, which is it's just a crappy little town in the middle of nowhere. But at the time, I was getting into hard housing. Most of the people in the scene lived in Leeds, like Sam, Townend, and so on. And then over years, because now Leeds is like a really expensive place to live, they've all migrated towards me. It's just like it just randomly found out. Like I went to my mate's birthday party because she invited me to a birthday party. She's like, and I just noticed it was at the nightclub in the town a mile away from my house, round the corner from Mum's Cafe. And why is it there? He said, I've moved there. And and then I got it, it's like, I realised Maddox lived round the corner from me. He's like,
Yeah.
Adam M lives round the corner from my gym, like a couple of miles away. Like Santarne's moved just outside Dewsbury. I'm just like, you're migrating over here now.
Yeah. So Amber, if you're watching this, I'm not a misogynist. I'm not a bad person. I'm a nice person. I've got respect for you as a DJ. Okay.
She probably wants this,
Well, she probably will because it's you. Yeah. That's why I'm doing it. Right. So we're going to finish off now, Dave, with a couple of quick fire questions. If you're ready.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the best movie soundtrack?
Top Gun.
Top Gun. So funny. Let me get my ears come out there. Funny story. My DJ name comes from Top Gun.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So I was playing Access by Misha and Tim many years ago with my mate. And I said to him, me and you can be the Top Gun DJs. You can be Iceman, I'll be Viper. And mine stuck. So, yeah. How do you like your steak?
Medium rare.
What's the most expensive luxury you've treated yourself to in the past couple of years?
Oh, the £95 giant Easter egg from Hotel Chocolat.
Oh, good choice, Dave.
Yeah.
If you were on death row, what would your last meal be?
Oh, fish, chips, and curry sauce.
Nice. What would you say your worst habit was?
Being a gobshite. I got no filter.
That could be the same answer for your next question. What superpower would you have?
Being a gobshite. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it has come in handy at times.
I'm sure it does. What annoys you?
Oh, I think the most annoying thing I can think of is people in the music industry moaning.
Yeah.
DJs and producers moaning when we've got nothing to moan about.
Okay. If this was a movie, who would play you and who would play me?
Oh, God. I should be able to answer it. I'd quite like Glenn Powell to play me because I can't. Right, who would play you? Oh God!
Obviously, The Rock.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
If you had £1 million to put an event on, who would you book?
Oh,
any genre.
Kyle Starkey. If you've heard of him.
No, I haven't.
Kyle Starkey. He's basically one of the new young hard house producers come along. He's really good.
Fantastic.
And he's also playing all over the world.
If you had a time machine to visit one day, what would it be and why?
The Love Decade rave in 1990 because nice. I would quite like to enjoy. I'd quite enjoy seeing my brother getting thrown in the back of a police van there.
Take your phone with you.
As well. Yeah, my brother was at that rave and he got arrested there as well.
I think you've already answered this one, but on chips, curry or gravy?
Correct.
What scares you?
What scares me? The main thing because the think of the top of the head is moss.
Moths. Oh, my mum doesn't
Yeah.
like moths. My mum watches all my podcasts, by the way.
Demon butterflies. Don't trust anything that turns to dust when you kill it.
What's worse in the winter? A cold toilet seat at home or a warm public seat?
The warm public seat. 'Cause you don't know how it's been.
One thing you would rid from the world?
Deafness.
Say again.
Deafness. That's been going deaf.
Alive or dead? Who would you like to watch in concert?
Oh, I'd have to have two.
Go on, you can have two.
Tony DeVee and Whitney Houston.
Nice. What a combo.
Yeah.
What's your favourite insult or swear word?
Cunt.
Walking Dead or Ozark?
Walking Dead.
Who's your celebrity crush?
My celebrity crush. Oh God, I hadn't had one of those for a while. I used to have a massive crush on Louise Nerdin from Eternal when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the best podcast you've ever been on?
But you put me on the spot there. Probably this one.
Hey, that's the top answer.
I can't think of any others where I've been on like any in-depth ones. So
yeah, okay. So listen, what have we got coming up then, Dave? Any upcoming projects?
Right, my next gig is going to be at Sankey Street Basement in Warrington on the 20th of December. I've got a residency there once a month.
Fantastic. What are you playing there, mate?
It's all going to be like the sort of like the newer end of like hard house, because a lot of the new hard house stuff, it basically just sounds like old school on speed. It literally sounds like 90s music at 140 BPM.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like all the like Kyle Starkey, Dart, Entasia, all that kind of stuff. Right, it's basically like that's one of my friends has described it. It's like the new Scouse house.
Yeah,
right. Because it's a slightly more commercial, slightly slower, but it's still banging. And I'll be playing there once a month with my friend James Valentine. And the one in December, we've got Ben Stevens on.
Fantastic.
And that's like I said, that's at Sankey Street Basement in Warrington. And I haven't really got any other gigs definitely coming up yet. It's probably going to be New Year and next have something after that, but I'll keep people updated. So, and I'm hopefully going to be making some music again in the new year, because I've been really, really, really busy the last couple of years. There's a lot of personal stuff going on. Right, so I haven't had enough time making a new music, but I'm hopefully going in with Alex Powell, who people might know as Sander Club. We've been on about making some music for ages. So.
Fantastic. So speaking of getting in touch, where can they find you on the socials, Dave?
Right, you can find me on all the usual places: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's at DJ General Bounce on most platforms like YouTube and stuff like that. And then my Facebook page is DJ General Bounce Official.
And is there anyone you want to give a little mention or a shout out to?
Oh God, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. I would probably say Amber, because she's one of my best. She's probably my best friend.
Are you listening to this, Amber? Are you listening to this?
Yeah, she's been a very good friend to me over the last few years, and she's like I said, I've had a few personal things going on the last year or so. So it's like she's been a big help at times, and I think that's just about it, really. I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, thank you very, very much for your time and your stories, Dave. It was as exciting and as interesting as I thought it would be. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Right, guys, I know I say this every time. I don't know who or what is coming next. I am going to try and be a little bit more busy with the podcast. I know I've took my foot off the gas a little bit because I basically just didn't have the time to myself to do them. But come back with a fantastic guest, and hopefully there's more to come. Take care, guys, and see you all soon.
It.